What's up, beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Crystal. This is Crystal's Next Chapter, and it is time for us to now discuss KuKi MAYhem. If you haven't already seen my Pick Pong TBR, that is what I'm going to be reading for the month of May for Pick Pong, but this is going to be my TBR for the rest of the month. Am I ambitious in doing additional books outside of Pick Pong to read? Yes, I am. But I am a co-host for KuKi MAYhem, and so I need to do a hopefuls list. If you're unfamiliar with what KuKi MAYhem is, it is a month-long readathon which is surrounding KU and Kindle books, but if you also read from your physical TBR, you can still join. This year they have done things a little bit differently. There are many hosts and co-hosts. I'll have them all linked down below, and we sprint for 24 hours a day for 31 days of the month. So you always have someone to keep you accountable, hop on with. It's very sociable, it's very fun. It's all about making new friends, meeting new people in the book community, and just getting a lot of books read. The main aim is to read down your Kindle Unlimited list that you have like sitting there staring at you so that you can finally finish them all off and then start some new borrows. I cancelled my KU subscription, so I don't have KU anymore. So I'm going to be reading books exclusively off my Kindle. These are books that I've had on there for a while now. I have an entire Kindle TBR. If you'd like to go and check it out, you can do that. But today we're going to be talking about how I'm planning on completing the bingo board, because that is the method that I am going to be doing to complete this challenge. There's a few different methods you can do. Everything you need to know is linked down below in the announcement video, so you can go and check it out. If you're interested in participating, you can participate at any time in the month of May. So if you're watching this video a little later in May, do not worry, it is not too late to join. And the sprint train will be linked down below as well. If you go ahead to that, then you will be able to jump straight on into wherever we are on the sprint train sprinting currently. So for my Pick Pong TBR, I was able to complete the middle row of the bingo board, as you can see with the 5 books that I'd got for that. But we now need to figure out what the other books are going to be for me to continue completing that bingo board. So without further ado, let's discuss what they will be. And I have no logical reason as to how I'm going to get to any of these, or if I will get to any of these. My aim is going to be try and put books on here that I can also find the audiobook for, because physical reading and I is just not happening with 3 kids and selling houses and buying houses and going back to work. Yeah. May is a busy month for me. So if you have any questions about KuKi MAYhem, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. If you haven't already, I'd love to have you subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified when I post new videos every week, and also if I go live for reading sprints, especially during the month of KuKi MAYhem. And without further ado, let's jump into the books I'm going to be reading in the month of May. Well, hopefully going to be reading. Okay, so I've had a look at my books. Let's figure out. We're going to go square by square through the bingo board and knock them off one at a time. And I'm going to tell you what I'm going to be reading and just a little bit about it. Most likely I won't get to half of these, but all of them but one I have managed to borrow the audiobook for from my library. So this is a positive sign. So the first one that we have is finish a book already downloaded on your Kindle. And so for this one, I am going to be reading Survive the Night by Riley Sager. I downloaded this onto my Kindle for another readathon probably 18 months ago and still haven't read it yet. So Survive the Night by Riley Sager follows, I believe, a woman who's coming home from university. She ends up getting into a car with somebody else to like get a ride home, and then like potential murder ensues. I like to go into Riley Sager's books pretty blind, but that's all I know from like the popularity of what it was talked about, and I'm going to leave it that way because I prefer to go into his super blind, because I feel like if you read his synopsises, sometimes there's some spoilers in it. The next was your newest KU/ebook/book purchase. For this one, I am going to go with If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia. This one I was seeing all over BookTok, like all over BookTok, and so when I had the ability to get the Kindle for quite cheap, I decided to jump on it. I am also able to get the audiobook through my Libro.fm advanced listener copy, so I have the audiobook for that as well. So I'm winning at life because I have the audiobook, because audios are what we need right now. And this one is about, I don't remember if I'm honest. Let me just have, I should probably have brought this up before I started filming, but let's have a look. If It Makes You Happy by Julia Olivia is a contemporary romance. Apparently it's a slow burn, but it's in 1997 autumn in Vermont. And pretty much we have 2 main characters. one who like notices the hot new guy that's moved in next door. However, the hot new guy can only stay for a few months, but then he starts to become sexually attracted to her. You know, the typical romance. It's not going to be too groundbreaking, but I expect it to be quite fun, especially because I love that like fall vibe. Although we don't get that kind of same vibe here in Australia with the like leaves falling everywhere. Still love to like read about it. The only thing I'm concerned about is how big it is. It's 500 pages. And when there's a slow burn contemporary romance that is that many pages, I need to be really invested in the main characters to enjoy. So we shall see if it can do that, because if it doesn't hook me and make me care about the characters within the first maybe 100, 150 pages, I will DNF it. I am pretty harsh when it comes to slow burn contemporary romances. For a retelling, I have Of Snow So White. This follows a woman and 7 cursed dwarfs. So it's a Snow White retelling, as you can kind of tell from the title. I got this during a KU Unlimited I got it from like a Stuffy Kindle Day, like a long time ago. When I was in my retelling vibe, I was spending a lot of times reading retellings because of Brittany from Brittany Loves Reading. And so I downloaded this, and it is sat on my Kindle ever since, because it is the only one on this board that does not have an audiobook available for me to download and listen to. So it's just kind of sat there knowing I will enjoy it, but just not having the capacity to do physical reading at the moment. So I've put it on there as a wild card. Hopefully, maybe I can get to it. We'll see how we go. For Start a New to Your Author from my Kindle or KU, I'm going to be going off my Kindle because, as I mentioned, I have cancelled my KU subscription. So I'm going to be reading It's Been a Pleasure, Nonnie Blake by Claire Christensen. This is one that was popular back when it was first published. I want to say in like the 2020 kind of era. It was definitely while COVID was around, so I will say probably 2020. It follows the main character who has always put everybody else before herself, and decides after a 10-year relationship breaks down, she decides to do like an eat, pray, love type situation and worries all about herself and embarks on like this pleasure-seeking quest. I hear that it's quite relatable, funny, so that's why it's being added to this list, because it might be that light-hearted, fun read that I need to kind of break up some of the other harsh thrillers and rough books that I have on this list. For read a book under 250 pages, I am going to be reading The Answer Is No by Frederick Borkman. Love Frederick Borkman. He's an author by author to me. This is one of his short stories that I got through Amazon First Choice a while ago. I started reading it. I think I got like 15 pages into it and then like forgot I was reading it, to be honest. It's not that it was bad. I just kept forgetting that it was a book I was reading. So we're going to go back and we're going to try and finish it. Next prompt we have is read a book from your favorite author. I have a few authors that are like my auto-buy authors. One that's recently been added to that list is Frida McFadden. And so the first book that came up on the list as I was going down my Kindle list that had an audiobook was The Surrogate Mother, which I go into Frida McFadden's books very blind. Have you noticed that is a trend that I do with a lot of thrillers? I just go, someone told me I would like this, or this is an author I've read from before and I will like it, and I just pick it up. So we're going to go with The Surrogate Mother. I know that a lot of Frida McFadden's books surround like motherhood and pregnancy and children, and so it's probably not the best time of my life to be reading this, but I'm just going to do it anyways. For Green on the Cover, I am going to be amazing and tick off multiple challenges. So I'm going to read Not for the Faint of Heart by Lex Croucher. This I have it as an advanced listener copy from Libro FM. I have it on my NetGalley shelf, and I also need to complete it on my Kindle. So it's knocking it off a few different places. It's helping me get it off my NetGalley shelf as well. So that's a win. I know that this is a, what did they call it? Hold on. Not for the faint of heart. So this I think would also hit for the like retelling situation. It's kind of like a Robin Hood Maid Marian type mashup. We have our main character, and she's the granddaughter of Robin Hood, and she's been kidnapped incorrectly by a band of merry men, and then things unravel. I don't know how this is gonna go. I picked this up in, I want to say, NetGalley November 2025, maybe? I'm putting that out there. So we'll see. But it is going to be nice to knock it off my NetGalley shelf. For Read the Next Book in a Series, you have started but not finished. I didn't have any books on my Kindle that were series continuations. That is not to say that I am not in a bunch of series continuations. I just didn't have any on my Kindle. So I went with this one, which is Falling by Christina Lauren, because it is book 2 in a series of like 5 mini stories that were all written by different authors that can be like their standalone, interconnecting kind of series. So it was the only one that I felt right reading book 2 before reading book 1. Book 1 is Hot for the Slayer by Ali Hazelwood, and then this is Falling by Christina Lauren. So this is another one I don't have an audiobook for, but it is quite short. So I decided to put that one on there because it's the only one that I had, because I didn't have any other series continuations on my Kindle. But there is a lot that I'm still in the middle of. For read a book set in a school or a university. School and university settings are not my jam. I am not a dark academia person. I don't read a lot of books that are in school settings. They tend to annoy me because they're either like really, really young or like I don't care really. But I did find one that I had on my Kindle called Looking for Smoke. And I think that they're on like I want to say like a school, it's not like a school camp. It's a, what do they call it? Looking for Smoke. She is on it's Indian Days Powwow. So it's an American Indian thriller, and she has moved back to the reservation, and during a powwow from the reservation, something happens. Someone gets murdered. So that's the closest thing I could find on my Kindle TBR that kind of remotely reflected a school or university in my mind. I know that reservations are not technically schools, and Indian Days Powwows are probably not a school activity, but it was the only thing I had, so I'm going to go with it. The next one is obviously to download a Kindle freebie or daily deal and read it. I'll just do that on the day that I need to tick that off, so I don't have a particular book that I'm going to use in that square. The middle row we have already completed from my Pick Pong TBR, so I don't need to talk you through those. Then we have a horror book, and for this I went with What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. I went with this one because our hosts have read it. They gave it 4 stars and didn't mind it. It's been on my TBR for a while, and I was able to get the audiobook, and it's quite short. So it will be my first T. Kingfisher, so I'm curious to see if I like their writing, given the fact that like Laura and I tend to only gel if it's not lyrical. And I have a feeling that T. Kingfisher kind of goes down that like lyrical horror, which tends to not work with me. So we'll give it a shot and we'll see how we go. For a hyped book that everyone has been saying is great, I'm going to be reading Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid and sobbing my eyes out, because that's what everyone tells me I'm going to do. And the only reason this is on my Kindle TBR is because my book club had it as a nominated Kindle book, and so I downloaded it before the book was actually decided. This one didn't end up getting chosen, but I now have it on my Kindle, so I may as well read it. I realized I didn't tell you what Moves the Dead is about or Atmosphere, so let's go back and do that. Hold on. What Moves the Dead? We're on sprints right now, and I have 7 minutes left to finish filming this video, so I'm kind of going to have to rush through a little bit. I've just read the synopsis for What Moves the Dead, and I don't even know if I can tell you what it's about. I'm hella confused, but I'm excited. So let's move on. I read a couple from Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I really enjoyed 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I loved Daisy Jones and the Six. I didn't mind is it Carrie Soto? Is that the tennis one? But I definitely feel like audiobooks will save Taylor Jenkins Reid's books, because they read much more like a story. Like you really care about them and think that this person is like a real person. So this is set against the backdrop of a 1980s space shuttle program, and apparently it's going to make everyone cry. So I'm expecting a good time. For read a book with people on the cover, I have chosen Trouble Girls by Julia Lynn Rubin, which is a queer YA reimagining of Thelma and Louise with the aesthetic of Riverdale. So that's all I needed to hear for me to put this instantly on my list. I decided to throw some fantasy on here, and the book that has kooky colors on it is going to be Spark of the Everplane by Nicole. This is book 1 in the Kindred Curse series, and every man and dog and child that has been in the book community has seen this book everywhere, and I have serious FOMO, and that is the simple and only fact that this is on here. Don't know if I'm going to love it as much as everybody else, because my fantasy brain has not been working lately, but we are going to give it a red hot crack and hope that it doesn't burn out. Seems to be the typical like chosen one has to like find love and power and politics. And for a book that is in a genre I rarely pick, I went for historical fiction middle grade, which I do read and I have read and really enjoyed in the past, but I don't tend to gravitate or grab towards it very often. This is 1919. We have a young girl whose story we're following. Her mother is ill. Her father has taken like a job abroad. She has a nanny who's like too busy to pay attention to her, and so she ends up kind of like going on an adventure and she sees like things in the shadows and like stories happen, and then she discovers a place called Hope House, and it's full of strange secrets and like a forgotten attic, ghostly figures, crazy things. I think it's going to be a good time. I don't know if it's going to go too far down the like lyrical emotional route, but we will give it a shot. Read my favorite genre. I'm going to go with Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. This is a thriller, which is one of my favorite genres. Thrillers, romances, and fantasies are my top 3. Thriller has been kind of overtaking the romance at the moment. Fantasy is really struggling at the moment because I can only really wrap my head around these first 2, but yes, thriller is quickly becoming back on top of the romance at the moment, just because I'm finding it a bit more like meaty than a romance, which I'm finding just a bit repetitive at the moment. I think I went too hard on the romances in 2025. Again, Riley Sager, stay blind, just go in, have some fun time with it. For a romance, I'm going to be reading The Nanny by Lana Ferguson. This is a story of, oh my God, I literally just looked it up. How does my brain not work? That's right. So this is a woman who discovers that the father of the child that she is nannying, while also doing OnlyFans on the side, may be her biggest only fan. It's going to be fun. It's going to be spicy. It's going to be great. It's 402 pages. So it's going to be a lot in a book. For choose a book with fewer than 1,000 reviews, I'm going to go with Under This Red Rock by Mindy McGuinness. This is a thriller, but it's a YA thriller, and it's meant to be quite dark and mysterious. There's going to be like girls under beds and men's in closets and dismembered bodies. Yeah, it's going to be dark, but I hope it's not going to be too lyrical again. Books with building on the covers, I am going to be reading Roomies by Christina Lauren. This is a romance. Love Christina Lauren. I don't think there's going to be a problem with this. And the last one is a audible narration. I have this on my Libra FM and Kindle, and that is Love from Scratch by Amy Hutton, which I know nothing about. It's a romance. I have 17 seconds left until I have to get back on sprint, so I'm going to say love you and leave you there, and I will see you on the other side. Let me know in the comments down below what you're going to be reading for KuKi MAYhem if you're joining us, what method you're doing, and hopefully I'll see you on the next reading sprint train. Thanks guys, bye!